PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're the podcast that covers everything pop culture and beyond the multiverse. Are you ready to get your geek on? Crank up the DeLorean, warm up the proton packs, toss a coin to your Witcher, and deep dive into your favorite plate of chimichangas. This is PopXcast.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
PopXcast.
I was born in it, molded by it.
PopXcast. No strings on me. Autobots, transform.
Goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny.
Never had a pet pony.
Hasta la vista, baby.
PopXcast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks.
Excelsior!
I tell you what, guys, Excelsior, it is PopXcast, episode 123, and you know the future's so bright, Austin Burke, I gotta wear shades.
You look really good. No, look, let's take a second. You look really good in those shades, man. I think.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much. How you doing?
Pretty. I'm good, man.
Wait a minute. Let me take these off here. There we go. Give you a cold, hard stare of death here. You know what I'm saying?
That good-looking gaze.
Oh, I'm telling you right there, man. It is so good to see you guys. You know what's really exciting is when you get ready to, you load the YouTube studio to activate the live stream, and you see in the room people already sitting here waiting for this beauty to go live. Oh my gosh, I can't begin to tell you how that makes my heart just soar seeing you guys in here. And man, I really do appreciate that. I do. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 123. And man, Austin, you have had a busy week, to say the least. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're willing to expand on it, but I mean, you've got a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of films. You did a road trip to see a movie. You went to Tennessee to see A Quiet Place. I mean, that's some freaking dedication right there, bro.
Man, it's been chaotic. Yeah, I right in the middle of all the madness with our house, and I'll talk about that in a second. I went to see A Quiet Place in Nashville. It was awesome, totally worth it. One of the best movies of the year. But, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on the next episode a bit. But we are in the middle of moving into a new house. So bought the house, got the keys last week. We've been painting and working outside, and family members coming over, and I'm standing up against my basement wall going, like, what's that studio going to look like?
You're like, hello. Hello.
It's beautiful. But seriously, man, like what are we going to do with this YouTube studio? Madison gave me the whole basement to work with. And she said, here's the keys to your kingdom. So we'll see what it looks like here in about 6 months.
Well, to answer the questions over in the chat, Lindsay Badger could not make it. It is a Wednesday night, and so her children are involved in many activities in the after hours of school, and she tried her dead level best. I will say this much for Lindsay Badger. Not only did she watch Top Gun to get us ready for the Retro Rewind this week, but she finished Marvel's M.O.D.O.K in anticipation she could just make it in at the end of the show, like the last 15 or 20 minutes, but it looks like that may not happen. Now, I'm not going to say we may have a fourth window pop up right in the middle of this, and that's okay. You know, that's totally cool, even if she's in the car or whatever. But to our sister at arms out there, our big sis that's a geek, well, just like the rest of us, we love you, Lindsay, and we will definitely be seeing Lindsay on the next episode in just 14 days, as we're going to be talking about Loki. which is going to be really exciting. But yeah, Lindsay's not here. You know, family commitments. Sometimes you just got to be the mother. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So that's where she's at tonight. But let's see here. I want to say a huge shout out to Luke over in the chat room. Got Mike Rolane, John Parfenbarger. It is his birthday today.
Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday to you.
Beautiful.
Oh, you know, that's why I got cast to be on the Grand Ole Opry right there, Austin. I am not going to lie to you, but the chat is hopping tonight. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh, you guys are so fun. Austin, why don't you kick this show off for us, and let's get 123 underway, man.
Yes, so welcome to PopX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart. We would like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come and hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com. If this is your first time tuning in next first 15 minutes or so, we run down the headlines since our last show, and then we deep dive into all things nostalgic on the retro rewind. At the halfway point, we hit on the show's topic. And of course, if you guys are here joining us on YouTube, you got to smash that thumbs up button to keep us moving up those analytics.
I really appreciate it. You guys have been subscribing. Our numbers have been going up, and that's not our doing. I mean, we just create the content. It's you guys that are subscribing. So I love you guys. You know what we should do sometime, Austin, just to kind of take a page out of your book? Yes. We should do a live Q&A sometime.
I'm all on board for that.
Not let it be one of the episodic PopX cast, but just something, a sidebar. A Q&A with the cast of PopX. That'd be kind of cool, right?
I love that. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people have maybe about how you and I mean, obviously we're related, we know each other, but maybe our upbringing and how we've kind of grown up in a similar space. So I think that would be super fun.
I lived in a van down by the river.
Down by the river.
All right, anyway, I'm Joseph Burke, Central Florida seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. Now, I want to welcome this amazing art community that's happening right now. It is part of the Creative Multiverse, as you've been hearing, but it's on haps.tv. So be sure to check us out. Sometimes, actually, as a matter of fact, 2 nights ago, I was on Haps live streaming for 4 hours drawing. I was doing something that was kind of cool, and I was doing an experimental piece called Glow Art. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically pencil and a piece of paper, and then at some point in that drawing, you add a glowing element to create a luminescence on the face or whatever it is you're drawing. Pretty cool. Interesting. But I did the whole piece, live streamed it. It's on my Haps channel. It's on my YouTube channel. Check that out. But it's really cool to see these artists come together. I'm a big creative. That's what I do. I create. That's all I know to do. But if you missed episode 122, Invincible, Jupiter's Legacy, and the retro rewind of Beetlejuice, you can also check out our official website at popxcast.com for many great episodes going all the way back 121 plus episodes. Pretty crazy that we're at 123 tonight. And but I would say this, if you like what you see here tonight and you're enjoying PopX, please click on the button and throw us a subscribe over on YouTube. Now, as we schedule new shows and we make sure we drop that new notification bell as well, don't want to forget the notification bell, you'll also be immediately notified when we go live next time. Now, also visit us on your favorite podcast platforms, wherever you download. Not only are we a live stream, we're also a podcast. So we take the audio from tonight's show and we produce it, mix it down, and we pop it right up on iTunes and Google and all those other places. Well, it's not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Music. Apple something podcast, whatever it's called. Something that Apple does with shows and podcasts, you know. But anyway. I don't know. They keep changing the names of these things, man.
It's like every year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, let me just pick right up with the news here, and we'll roll that, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Extra. Read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
All right, Burke, let's do it.
I'm really glad they didn't hear anything because I just sat awkwardly and didn't know what to say for like 5 minutes. But okay, let's do it again. I'm really glad you all didn't hear that. That was horrible. All right. So I'll roll through this super quick, right? We're talking Rangers of the New Republic, the Mandalorian spinoff that was announced in December. It's not currently in active development at the studio. Now, not being in active development could mean several things for the series. While it may be canceled entirely, it could also simply no longer be in the studio's production schedule as top priority. That could make sense given the high number of other television projects set in the Star Wars universe that we know is in the works for Disney Plus. Now, just going through some of these, we know that earlier this year, Boba Fett was taking place. Obi-Wan Kenobi started filming over the last few weeks. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is expected to start shooting in the near future. Wow. And Andor has yet to wrap production. So Lucasfilm has also previously announced the series Star Wars Lando, Acolyte, Ahsoka. Now, with this being unclear when these projects are moving forward. Now, the only one that we're talking about right now, we're kind of focused on, is The New Republic, not in active development. Joe,
Whoa.
What are you thinking?
Man, I'm telling you, that's it's interesting, you know, but just because you're seeing the image here of being canceled and stuff like that, and it's kind of a gut punch at the same time. I mean, we're living in an era where Disney can, and I'm just kind of going to go off on a side tangent for a minute. We're living in an era where Disney can just fire anyone they want to. And then 5-6 months later, oh, we're so sorry, James Gunn, can you please come do our film? You know, and you see actresses and actors like this, and it bothers me. But the fact that this one particular, the New Republic, is not getting hit, man. What's going on behind the scenes? I wonder what's going on behind the scenes at Lucasfilm. You would think, what is their end all be all game here?
Well, with all of the different characters and things that they've introduced, you would think that they could maybe rewrite or reroute the series if this was just the Gina Carano thing. So I'm not entirely sure what the full intentions were with canceling this show. Maybe they just couldn't think of another creative way to do it. But something like the New Republic, Rangers of the New Republic, man, that's something that I would think someone can at least change up in a way that's going to serve that story, because it sounds like a really interesting story. So I don't know why Disney would want to scrap that idea entirely.
Interesting. They're still saying that we're getting lots of lags, but they can see us. Hopefully that'll clear up. I got a live stream thing here on my thing. It says viewers will be experiencing buffering. There's a widget that I can open up. I don't know if that'll help me out or anything, stream settings and all that, but it says stream health, error, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So I'm not sure what that means, but I don't want to end it in OBS, because that's kind of, you know, hopefully will it clear up? I don't know. But I don't know. I'm moving on with it, but I do, to reiterate what you said, it's interesting that we'll never see the light of day of this particular show. I was kind of excited for it, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Sidebar tangent, another Lucasfilm thing. Do we really need another Lucasfilm Star Wars story? I don't know. But is it oversaturation? Well, same could be said about Marvel Studios as well on Disney Plus.
For sure. It's working out well for them.
Exactly. Hopefully you guys can hear us. Austin's video is freezing, but the audio is clear. That's all that matters to us.
Yes.
If you can hear us, then that's good. So moving on, the original Sonic the Hedgehog game turns 30 years old this year, and the Sega is starting to gear up for the big anniversary celebration shortly after announcing a stream event set to take place after this week. Now, Sega's released an awesome new trailer celebrating the character's history. Now titled Unstoppable for Generations, the trailer shows the impact the series has had on fans throughout the years, as well as some of the biggest highlights from the character history. Now, naturally, some of Sonic's most memorable games are showcased, but the live-action film, comics, animation also gets some screen time here as well. It's definitely a must-watch for fans of the Blue Blur. So, are you a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, Austin?
I am, and I actually, you know, I wasn't like crazy going into the movie like, oh, this is going to be another video game movie. But there's actually a lot of fun to be had with the movie. You look at the video games and the impact, and I'm a big Super Smash Bros. Player, and I'll occasionally play Sonic. And I just love that character. I love his voice. And it's cool to see that he, you know, is almost on the status of like a Mario, lasting all of these years, being so popular and firmly in control of, I think, one of the best video game characters of all time.
Yeah. I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog, and of course I remember one fateful Christmas, 1988, Mom and Dad, you know, got me the Sega Genesis, and of course that was the free game that came with all Sega Genesis back in the day. And immediately I started reading the comic books and started diving down that avenue. And so there's a lot of, and of course, the Saturday morning cartoon. We can't forget.
Oh,
Sonic
that was
and
so
Friends.
great, man.
Wasn't
That's
it?
so great. Sonic and Friends. I love that show.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Sonic, and I think that whoever created, I mean, there has to be a story out there on the creations of Sonic the Hedgehog, how Sonic is kind of like the equal but opposite of Mario in a way, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So very interesting, very I love it, and I can't wait to see what they do with this, and I'm all down for the 30th anniversary, and I can't wait to watch this and just see it all come to fruition.
Let me see.
You're up, buddy.
Okay. Sorry, it lagged a lot on that last little bit. We're pushing through it, guys. Come on, we're pushing through it. Okay, so production is underway on the 3rd season of The Boys, and filming has been underway long enough for one episode to be almost finished. Okay, that's exciting. Series showrunner and creator Eric Kripke took to Twitter to reveal that he's already watched the director's cut of the season premiere using a GIF of Goran and Alistair Adana in season 2, can't pronounce that, finale at the exact moment that his head explodes. Yes, the message was clear. The episode is mind-blowing. Actual footage of me watching The Boys director cut of episode 301. Kripke tweeted, "I think you're in for something really special and insane and special. Joe, you know how much I love me some Boys. You know how much that season 2 finale just got us salivating for more. And the fact that we're already getting some season 3 news, what are you thinking about this?"
I am ready for some Butcher. I am ready for some Butcher. Oh my gosh, dude. It's so cool to see the first 2 seasons. Oh my gosh, are just brutal. Season 2 just left me like, I didn't know. I mean, I was sitting here watching Homelander, and oh my God, it just the whole story arc. We didn't cover it, so I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But it was an interesting turn of events with Mother's Milk and all of that. And I will just say that much and just leave it right there. But I'm really excited for season 3. This seems like something that Amazon Prime has as a very solid foundation of a show, and that excites me, Austin.
I completely agree. And I think doing it episodically is also helping keep that momentum going. Now, I love to binge, and I hate that I didn't get to binge this last time, but I really think it's keeping in the conversation. So hopefully season 3 kind of sticks to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, honestly. And season 3 of The Boys they will probably turn up the juice big time on that, if you think about it. Because, I mean, look how crazy and graphic and gory season 2 was.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty intense, right? I mean, so they can only up themselves from this point forward, right? Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I can't wait to see it.
I agree.
Let's see here. Amazon has sealed, oh my God, this is big news this week. Holy cow. Has sealed the deal for an $8.45 billion dollars to buy MGM Studios. And all the properties that come with it, including James Bond.
Oh, man.
I mean, the entire Mad Max. I mean, there is franchises galore here, and Amazon, I can't believe that they paid that much for this. So the iconic Hollywood studio known for releasing RoboCop, forgot about that.
Okay,
James Bond, and the entire Rocky franchise. Holy cow. The deal sets a course to amp up Amazon Prime's video with new programming from MGM's Long Story and, oh my gosh, to bolster Amazon's existing original production arm, Amazon Studios. Amazon said that MGM's gold mine is the intellectual property that it can leverage for making new content. Mike Hopkins, Amazon's senior vice financial president of Prime Video and Amazon Studios, said the real financial value behind this deal is the treasure trove of IP in the deep catalog that we plan to reimagine. Let me pause there. To reimagine and develop together with MGM's talented team. It's very exciting and provides so many opportunities for high-quality storytelling. Austin Burke, is this... Okay, this could be bigger than the Fox Marvel Studios deal, bro.
Yeah.
Because Marvel, Fox has a big IP, right? MGM has been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
100 years. Austin, I got it as a film critic, professional from Flick Fan Nation. What is your thoughts on this?
It's one of those things that you just, well, first of all, I get excited because Amazon's so good at screeners. Let me tell you, they respond so quick and they're sending me stuff I'm not even asking. So I get all this stuff. All right, great. No, there are so many properties, man. There's so many properties, but it also starts to bring up the conversation, right? What are they going to do with these movies? Because we know Amazon is and focuses on their streaming service. So we're going to get those simultaneous theatrical streaming releases like we're getting with HBO Max and Disney Plus. Are we going to do that 45-day window where we send them to theaters and then bring them directly to a streaming service? A lot of questions I'm asking myself.
Wow.
And then you look at the IPs, you have opportunities to bring back something like a RoboCop, maybe turn that into a series. Come on, you can do
Peter
anything.
Weller back as RoboCop. I mean, or maybe Dude, I'm telling you, if I wasn't a big fan of the reboot of RoboCop, I'm just going to say that right off. It was okay, but if they bring back that '80s, dude, there are so many '80s genre films involved in that time gap with MGM Studios.
Yeah,
holy cow, bro! Holy cow!
Well, and again, we know because long form content is almost the way of the future, and the route that they're. I mean, look at how much money they just spent on Lord of the Rings. What was it? It was $500 million.
Yeah, it was some ridiculous amount, dude.
So imagine turning these IPs into series and lengthening it, bringing Peter Weller back as RoboCop for an 8-episode series. I mean, you can do all kinds of things.
Could you imagine a Rocky series?
Oh, I would love it. I Michael B. Jordan bringing back.
What if they focus on Mickey, the origins of Mickey and his gym?
They can do spinoffs now, dude. They can do spinoffs.
Oh my God, the possibilities.
They have opportunity. I'm telling you, Joe. You're right.
The future is so bright. I gotta wear shades, baby. I'm telling you what.
When you
this deal right here
said this, Joe. The possibilities are endless. I think that's the key right there. They are endless with what they can do with all these items.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. And I think this is a great deal. It does raise a big question for me, though. All these big corporations and companies and film studios are being purchased.
Yes, they are.
And so that raises a question. Fox was purchased 2 years ago by Walt Disney. And Amazon Prime, which is kind of new to the scene. Prime Video is only, 4 or 5 years old? Purchasing a €100 film studio?
Yes. That's
hard for me to wrap my head around. It's just so hard for me because you have an entity that's only 4 or 5 years old purchasing something that has a century of content, and it's just really yes, the possibilities are endless, but at the same time I'm thinking, wow, what is stopping somebody from buying something else, or Sony purchasing Apple, purchasing Sony, or there's no governing, it seems like. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Netflix
there is governing. You got the FCC has to sign off on all this, but
for sure. But it seems like, but you're right. And look at what Netflix. I mean, they're around 20 years old and they're ruling the world right now. If they wanted to go and buy one of these studios, they probably could do it, and they could afford to do it. So we're going to be seeing, Joe. This is not the end of it. We're going to be seeing more things like this in the future. I guarantee it.
It's interesting. And so I'm thinking about, dude, I'm telling you, Universal Studios, kind of been on the teeter-totter for a while. They got a couple of good franchises, but who's to say? I don't know if you knew this, but Netflix and Universal have a merging property license together. Did you know that?
The Jurassic World show, man, Camp Cretaceous.
Well, all the IPs that are from Netflix. Let me give you an example. Stranger Things. Stranger Things was at Universal Studios Hollywood and Orlando at Halloween Horror Nights as a shared IP joint partnership. So if Comcast has already got that deal, who's to say that Netflix can't come right in and merge with Universal and become Universal Paramount Netflix or something?
Man, we could almost bet money and be right about something like that, because what you just said, I mean, it almost leads us to think, why wouldn't there be a big purchase between Universal and Netflix? You know what I mean? Like that's
Well, the thing about it is, the streaming platforms, it's the way of the future, man.
It's
the way of the future.
It is.
So, but anyway, you have a new segment that came on literally an hour before the show started. Austin, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I we know that Aaron Taylor Johnson played Quicksilver in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? And spoilers, he was killed, and he didn't come back for WandaVision. Well, guess what? He is coming back, or for the first time, as Kraven in Sony's upcoming Marvel Studios collaboration film, which blows my mind because we assume that Kraven would fight Spider-Man at some point, who is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is with Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver.
It's weird, dude. It's like, but I get it. I mean, if you can imagine him with a goatee and his hair grew out, look at it. I could definitely see him as Kraven.
I'm doing this on air. Do you remember that little theory that I brought up last time we talked about Venom and Morbius being in Tobey Maguire's universe?
Yes, I do.
Since he's already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would make sense that he was in a different universe, right?
Okay. Okay. I see where you're going with this. Oh my God, dude. You just like blew my brain, man. That's crazy.
On the thinking cap right here.
But it will be interesting to see, in an alternate timeline, the same physical make of a character portrayed as another character. And who's to say? I'll be totally down for that, mind you.
I mean, there has to be some kind of reasoning or rationale behind casting a guy who is in the MCU as a character who will hopefully take on Spider-Man at some point, right? I mean, we hope for that. Right. I would think so.
Yeah. I'm just so glad right now at this point I didn't hit cancel on the stream.
Yeah, I know, man. This is great.
10 minutes of weirdness, and we're all through it, and we're having a blast. But yeah, you're absolutely. I didn't even know that Sony had plans to develop a Kraven story. But if you know anything about Kraven, and especially his run-ins with Spider-Man, dude, that's probably one of Spider-Man's darkest foes, because he's Kraven the Hunter, and I would say he's even more powerful to some degree. It's more of a psychological. He's a very tactful villain. He's not one that attacks with brute force like Venom. He's one that, Kraven the Hunter, he's one that attacks his prey from a very unique perspective, and might I add, brutal perspective. And so be very interested to see how they develop this particular IP for the Sony franchise, and hopefully it's incorporated into the MCU, because that would be extremely sad if it's not. But anyway, Austin, are you ready to talk a little retro rewind this week?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All righty. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for sticking with us tonight. I know it's been a wild one, but hey, we got the retro rewind Top Gun coming your way right now.
Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind.
Retro Rewind, and we are talking about Tony Scott's 1986 80s classic, Top Gun. Yeah. Holy cow, Top Gun. Now, Austin, you've had to have seen Top Gun prior to actually being asked to see it for Retro Rewind. So what is some of your thoughts going into this 80s classic?
Yes, I believe this was my third time watching. Now, I will admit, I had it playing as I was painting. Okay. But you can ask Madison what the walls look like. I probably paid more attention to the movie. Now, I believe Top Gun is one of those films that a lot of people hold very, very close to their hearts as this huge classic film. And it's so freaking
it's really
80s.
Good, dude. Yeah.
It's so freaking 80s, man. Like, watch it, and so many iconic scenes, and everybody knows the main relationship. Everybody knows Tom Cruise's performance. Everybody knows the style that the film has. Now, it looks like the sequel is going to be taking it in a very different direction. But this has some of those quotable and iconic lines that only come around every once in a while. And even compared to some of the other movies that we've talked about, I don't know if Top Gun, for me personally, is maybe as good as some of those other films. I do think because it's so of its time, I don't know if certain elements hold up, but that's not to say it is a bad thing. I think it is a very special thing how much this represents its time period. And what was the year, Joe? I think what was it, 85 or 86? 86, right?
Yeah.
So we're kind of in that second half of the decade when you're getting a little more into that cheesy territory as we enter the early 90s.
There is some relationship cheese here. Yeah.
There's some relationship cheese, and then you have, Val Kilmer and Cruise's relationship, of course, the classic Iceman, one of the most iconic characters there is. You have Tim Robbins in there. And I kind of forgot Tim Robbins was in this movie. I love seeing his performance. And I do think the performances are really good, but they're really self-aware. And I think this is one of my, even though it's not one of my favorite Cruise movies, I think it's one of my favorite Cruise performances because it's like the ultimate version of Tom Cruise. He's so confident, and I love seeing a confident young Cruise.
He's cocky, and he knows he can do it. He knows he can do it, and that's the thing about it. And for me, just the overall score for this film is probably one of the most iconic film scores of all time. You have "Take My Breath Away." You have the Top Gun intro anthem composed by Harold Faltermeyer. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy that made Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop. Very noted. He's up there with so many iconic synthesizer composers. And Harold Faltermeyer is one of them. Vangelis is another one. And then you've got Jans Hammer with the Miami Vice theme. These iconic, legendary composers that are using synthesizers to create these anthems. And for me, I think Top Gun is just one of those. But the score is always one that brings me back. And you got Kenny Loggins, The Danger Zone, and it's so good. But the one thing that blew me away, man, on this one is the cinematography. Let's stop for a second and just listen to what I got to say. This is at a time before GoPros. All right?
Yeah, that's true.
You can't just put a GoPro mounted on the side of a wing of a jet fighter in 1986 because it didn't happen. The cameras that they used, Google Panavision cameras, 1986, those things are freaking huge. They had to mount these on the underbelly, on the wings, near the cockpit of these fighter jets. And this was all filmed at the Naval Air Base, not the Naval, the Air Base in Nevada. And you just think about it, dude. It's just crazy how they had, what a feat of cinematography given the decade it was shot.
I agree.
We've never seen anything like this. And how many aeronautical battles are there, the training exercises and just all of that? Just imagine, the storyboard for that. We have to have this flyby with this camera angle going underneath the belly, and then we got to have one of Maverick upside down flipping the bird to the bad guys. And, you just got these scenes, and I can't begin to imagine for a film like this how it was all planned out and executed flawlessly. I will give it to you. There's some cheese in here. Kelly McGillis's character, Charlie, I believe it is, she plays kind of an interesting role. She's an older person who is kind of a liaison to the government because evidently she knows a lot about the machines and how to run them. But Maverick, kind of knows a little bit more, to be honest with you. And he's kind of pushing that boundary, and she kind of gets turned on by it, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And we have boom, 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 boom at that moment. And then we're making love. And the next thing you know, they're on the back of a bike and all of us. Yeah, crazy story. Love it, though. My God, I love this movie so much. It's insane. It's just one of those movies, the one-liners for me, and I want Mike to get ready because I want Mike to share his as well.
Yes.
It's one of those movies that's, I don't want to say comparable to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but the one-liners and the score, even though it's Tom Cruise, total different storyline and total different character trajectory, there is some I feel the need for speed, And you got Goose, just a great film. Great film all the way around. Mike Ippolito, Bubby, what is your take on this classic of '86?
Pretty much everybody covered it all for me, but to me, I think that's some of the best aviation footage ever caught on camera.
I couldn't agree more.
Especially for the times, what they were capable of and what you had. Again, I know I always go back to, but it's what you had to work with back then. I mean, now it's all CG. But to see that and what they used back then, it was just completely amazing. I mean, I'm more into the dog fights and all the aerial stuff than pay attention to the rest of the story. And I'm not as much of a big Tom Cruise fan anymore. I think that was his early years stuff. I think like this movie, and it's, I don't know. I don't care much for him anymore lately. But this is one of his better performances.
I agree with that. I mean, Tom Cruise is definitely one of Hollywood's elite, and you can't deny it, especially on some of the stuff he's done. But at the pinnacle of his career stands this film, which, I think before this may have been Risky Business in 1985, 84.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And so Top Gun was just the culmination of everything that Tom Cruise has worked for. And I can't get what you're saying, though, Mike. He kind of, modern day Tom Cruise is a lot weirder than 25 year ago Tom Cruise. And I say that respectfully, but he's a little bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah,
I'll give you that much.
Too keen on the sequel. I mean, what has it been, 35 years or so?
Something like that, yeah.
Come out with a sequel, and I've seen the trailer, and I'm going, I could take it or leave it. I mean, if it's something that's on HBO Max or something, I'll watch it, but I may not run out to the theater and see it.
I don't think it's going to be one that I would make an attempt to go to the theater to see. I would definitely wait.
At this point.
Yeah, I would definitely wait for live stream, to be honest with you. But that's just my take. I could be totally wrong on that. Austin, what's your, are you excited for Maverick?
I am. I'd say modern day Cruise for me is he hasn't done much outside of the Mission Impossible movies. Now, the Mission Impossible movies I love. The last three have really kicked some butt. Fallout, I think, is one of the best action movies.
The one with Henry
Cavill
was amazing.
Yes. That was spectacular. But you're right. I think this second one is a good opportunity for him to kind of get back into that boat. Like is the Cruise that he used to be. And we've seen him give, Magnolia, I think, phenomenal Oscar-worthy performances. And we've seen awards buzz for Cruise. He's just not there now.
Yeah.
But I think this sequel could do him some good if it's as good. And apparently he learned how to fly a plane for this movie. Okay.
I heard about that. He was actually trained to fly an airplane at one of these jets. Not just a plane, a jet. Fighter jet, as a matter of fact. And I believe he already had his he was already a pilot to some degree. He's kind of like Harrison Ford. He has his own plane. He flies around, does his own thing. But interesting take. But at the end of it, Top Gun is definitely one of those movies that solidifies. The reason I chose Top Gun for this week, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
And guess what? This movie came out Memorial Day weekend, 1986. Yes, that's some very thoughtful planning on my end. But I will say that Top Gun was one of the highest grossing films of the decade of the 80s. It came in at number 26. Number 26. Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade in 1989 was the number one grossing film of all the 80s, below E.T. at number 2. And so this came in at number 26. So it does tell you, it had, for Memorial Day weekend 86, it had a pretty good draw. You know what I'm saying? But with all that said, let's give our official PopX score, and we'll move on to Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. Austin, what is your score for Top Gun?
I'm going to 72. I'm going to 7.2 out of 10. Again, it's not a film that I grew up with, but it is one that every time I watch it, I'm like, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it really does transport you back to that time. And Joe, I thought you brought up a great point with the cinematography. It's crazy what they were able to do.
It is. It really is. Mike?
I'm going to go with 7.
7 out of 10?
I guess... like Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone. Anytime you hear that song, you know that it's just, it's tied into that movie.
Oh, yeah.
So it has a little, I guess, memorability to it.
It does. Yeah.
But again, with the, the cinematography, some of the best aviation caught on camera.
I agree. So we got a 72%. We got a 70%. I'm going to meet you guys a little bit higher than that. I'm going to go 75%. Nice. The only reason I went up a little higher is just for the fact of what they were able to do cinematography-wise with the capture of the aviation footage. Guys, again, this is 86. They didn't have the portable cameras with the fisheye lens and all the fun stuff that they have now. I mean, these are 50-pound cameras mounted to the wing of a fighter jet. And I can't even begin to think. And over in the chat room, I want to read some of these. 8.6 from John Parfenbarger. Nice. We got a 7.8 from Lindsay Badger. So, yes, whatever you guys, if you guys want to share your score, feel free to do that over in the chat room. And we may even read it here. But I think that's a good wrap on Top Gun. It's definitely one of our favorites, and I'm glad we chose it because it is Memorial Day, and it's kind of a nice little nod to 86 as well. But getting into Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. now, I'm going to roll the spoiler alert warning. If you have not watched Marvel's M.O.D.O.K, we're getting ready to talk Season 1, Episode 10 episodes. We're going to talk it all right now. Be right back.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned. And so we are talking Marvel's M.O.D.O.K, a brand new iteration of something that we have not seen from Marvel before. And that is claymation, stop motion, animation, combined with adult comedy themes in a Robot Chicken, Adult Swim, South Park, Family Guy mashup that is just crazy. And it's something that none of us didn't expect. I didn't even know this was coming out until a month and a half ago, Austin.
Yeah.
But you know, I watching the series, there is some definitely belly laugh moments. For me, it would have been episode 7 or 8 with the goat, and the goat kept screaming. It was hilarious. So, giving the premise of this, we see M.O.D.O.K. M.O.D.O.K. is now settled down. He has a wife. He has 2 kids. And one of his daughter actually inherited his specific big head syndrome. And so she has her own floating capsule as well, just like M.O.D.O.K. does. And then the son is just kind of like out there. He's kind of a I don't know where he's at. He's on another planet, and he just does things that's so erratic. Compare him to like on Family Guy, Chris from Family Guy. You know, Seth Green's character. He just doesn't know where he's at or what he's doing, but then he's taken away from his corporation at AIM, and this whole company comes in, which is a play on Rumble, but it's called Grumble. And it's really interesting that how everything is set up in the context of it. But some really cool, interesting cameos as well in this series, some in which I didn't expect. And we see Iron Man several times. We see Thor's hammer make an appearance. Even the Infinity Gauntlet made an appearance, I do believe, in one of the final scenes. Wonder Man made it into... It was so weird. It's so strange. And then the Arcade. If you don't know who Arcade is, he's a supervillain from... I mean, that guy goes way back. And they brought this random villain out. He kind of looks like Joker with the blood red hair, like orangey red hair, and he's got the white vest on. But really interesting how it was set up, and it's set up in a way to where they left you on a cliffhanger at episode 10, and it's definitely has the potential to go into a season 2. Austin Burke, what did you think about Marvel's M.O.D.O.K?
Yeah, I'm like you. I knew this series was coming. I didn't really know what it was going to be. I had no clue it was going to be this stop motion robot chicken animation. You had some of the creators, giving their
Seth Green was involved in this.
Yeah, Seth Green. So you automatically knew it was going to be that style of show. Now, I'm seeing a bit of a divisive, not really critically, but I'm seeing a bit of a divisive take by a lot of audiences. I think part of it is if you don't respond to this type of humor, this really quick-witted Rick and Morty, slapsticky Family Guy, cutaway style humor, then I don't know if you're going to love this show. So you've got to know what you're in for when you're going in, and if you're looking for a serious comic book show, that's not what this is. No. It's ridiculous Patton Oswalt style humor with a lot of cameos, Easter eggs, stealing Iron Man's boot, and at one point they're like, "Why didn't you steal Captain America's shield? That would have been a lot cooler."
Well, the boot was stuck up my crack.
There was a lot of the villain hangout. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
getting all of those different cameos. But then you have the marriage problems. You have, the fallout with what's happening there, and the father-daughter, father-son relationship. Ben Schwartz as the son, I thought was a great touch. That's our Sonic. He did a great job voicing that character. So, and John Hamm as Iron Man.
As Iron Man.
Oh my God.
It was so weird. It was such a cool casting call. And I knew the voice immediately without even looking at the credits. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's John Hamm.
That's John Hamm. Yeah.
So I love it. I love what they did there. Now, again, it's, in a comedy like this, not every joke's going to work, right?
No.
If it can be 70-30, that's like always my ultimate goal with a comedy. You're laughing 70% of the time, not laughing 30% of the time. Okay, I think that's a great mark to hit. I would say this was around 70-30,
Yeah.
There were a couple jokes that fell a little bit flat, but I would say 70% of them at least. But again, it is my style of ridiculous, dumb, stupid humor.
Yeah.
But as a Marvel fan, somebody just sitting there looking for Easter eggs and cameos, and
it's in
every
there.
time Iron Man comes in, it is in there. And you can tell.
Did you notice one thing, Austin? What year was this set in? Do you remember?
I don't remember the specific
2009.
specific year. Oh wow.
Okay, so now here I'm gonna blow your mind. Asgard hadn't been consumed by Ragnarok yet, so that's why there was an Asgard.
Interesting. So they're almost following that sequence.
I believe
events
so. Well, Disney owns Hulu. Disney owns Hulu, so I believe in some strange comedic way, it's following the timeline of the MCU, though it's not part of the MCU, but the rules apply to the MCU.
Oh my God.
And so I was sitting here thinking, I was like, wait, they're in Asgard, all right?
Yeah.
So and you got all the soldiers with the gold armor and everything, and that was a hilarious scene all on its own. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, and then it shows the time, and I'm like, oh, 09. Ragnarok hasn't even happened yet. This all makes sense.
Well, and it's funny that Iron Man was kind of like the main hero that would come in and out, because this was right after Iron Man 1, 2008 was the... So, I think it's kind of like this alternate weird
we don't even
MCU thing.
Yeah, we don't even have the Avengers at this point assembled. I don't think until, interesting when you think about it. That claymation cartoon type... series can follow some sort of strange continuity of the film franchise, which is weird.
Well, and I think part of it is I was looking for something very specific with this show, and if you're not laughing, that's one thing, but I was looking for a show that kept those homages and kept the integral Marvel roots present, but then added that. And I grew up loving Robot Chicken, man. I was
did too, man.
loving Robot Chicken and Family Guy, so this is
Adult
right down
Swim,
my alley.
Robot Chicken. Yes. I spent many nights, just cracking up at Robot Chicken and how they would do Skeletor and He-Man and just all the funny, crazy things they did with them, dude. It was so good. But I think we need to see some more Adult Swim, honestly. I think I need to see some more John C. Reilly remember those skits he used to do that were so hilarious?
Scientist and I love those. So many memes, man. There's another show too, and that's where Rick and Morty is like the most popular animated show. Yeah. That's crazy, man. That is crazy.
So you think about just the continuity of it. I do agree with you, though. If 70-30 is a good mark to hit on some of the jokes. Some of the jokes are just like, didn't affect me. Somebody else may find it funnier than I did. Or maybe I just don't understand the context of the joke at the time. Because they're so fast and so witty, you don't have time to process it. And, it may require a second viewing. I don't know if I personally would watch it all over again. I enjoyed it. But I don't think there's a lot of rewatchability in terms of it's a one and done for me. I would say.
I'm okay with that
personally. Yeah. Probably the same for season 2, if there is a season 2, if they sign off on that. But I enjoyed it, and there's a potential. I think season 1 is a filler. They tried some things to see what worked and see what didn't. Mm-hmm. I believe if there is a season 2 and they sign back for it, there's a lot more potential to include some more crazier cameos. I personally was looking for a Stan Lee cameo through every episode, and I could not find one.
Didn't either.
I may have missed it. He may have been in the background as a claymation. I was looking for it diligently, but I didn't see a Stan Lee, unfortunately. But I want to talk to Mike because Mike has a really interesting perspective on M.O.D.O.K.
All right.
And as you can look on his face, I was calling Mike this past week, and because we were just talking about a few things, and he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't get past episode 2." Mike, what are your thoughts, man?
Don't like Adult Swim, Mike?
You don't want me to go down this road. You really don't. You're right. I just, I was never really a big fan of Robot Chicken. I've seen episodes of it.
Wow. Okay.
But I love Rick and Morty. I love Family Guy, but I got through the first episode. I thought it was, decent enough. And as it got into the second episode, it just fell off a cliff, right into a pile of rocks for me. And I like Patton Oswalt. I think he's a funny guy. And I'm a big fan of Wendy Clendon-Covey from Goldbergs. She played Monica. I was thought there'd be hope for that, because I really enjoy her, as an actor. And I couldn't stay with it. I put it on for the first 3 minutes. I went to my phone, I went to the computer, went to the kitchen, went to the bathroom, and didn't even stop it. And then when I came back, I was just, I said, I had enough of this. I can't do no more.
Wow.
And I didn't find it funny anymore. It was just, it became more annoying than anything else.
I understand.
And every one of the characters, I mean, I know it's, it's the writing and not the person, but like the whole family to me was just annoying. And I got you. I just lost interest in a hurry.
Well, don't feel bad, Mike. You're part of an actual group out there. This series is definitely split 50-50.
For sure.
There's 50% of people that are huge MCU fanatics that love it, and then the other just can't stand it.
Oh, trust me, I heard it in my comment section. You don't know what funny is. I'm just like, shut up, man. Why do you have to be like that? Just if you don't like it, sure.
I kind of fall around the middle, and when I give my score here shortly, you're going to kind of understand. I'm on the fence. I'm not one that's on the negative, or I'm not one that's on the. I mean, there is some positive, but at the same time, I saw some negative. I saw some writing and script error issues, and I'm just like, eh. So I do feel that, Mike, your response is definitely valid. I don't think you should feel bad for
sure.
That. Yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm not here to discourage anybody and tell you it's garbage and don't watch it. It's just it wasn't for me, and
it wasn't for you.
Everybody in their human brain, you like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like, and that's kind of the way it is.
Well, and comedy is the most subjective, and that's why I don't fault anyone for not liking this style of humor. It is the most subjective thing when it comes to filmmaking at all. You will often see a bigger division of opinion. Even if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of classic comedies have negative scores because it's just so subjective. And if you're not laughing, especially with a show like this, you're not going to get into the characters. So and there's a lot of people in that boat, Mike, so you're definitely not alone, for sure.
Yeah. It was hard for me to sometimes, too. I found myself in some of those scenes, it was just a lot of dialogue and this weirdness. I was on my phone, I caught myself scrolling a couple of times. I guess the mentality I said, well, I'm just going to get through it. I'm just going to kind of scroll to get through it. I'm not really here for what is going on. I just want to see where the story's progressing. Yeah. I am extremely guilty of that on this particular series. I didn't do that every single episode. Some episodes were more engaging than the others. Some episodes were more funnier than the others. Like episode 2, Mike, what you were talking about, episode 2 tanked for me, kind of. It like episode 1 was great. There was good build up. You had great cameos, and the Iron Man boot up M.O.D.O.K's butt and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, episode 2 just kind of like falls flat. So I definitely feel you on that. And
I try to be fair with stuff, but if it's just I'm just struggling to get through it. It's like we did with Jupiter's Legacy. It started off slow, it dragged, but I found myself to go through it. With this, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
After the third episode started, I said I can't do this.
Jupiter's Legacy kept building each episode, so there was something there to entice you to watch the next episode.
Well, it held my interest.
It did, yeah.
But this, I completely lost interest, and I'm going, why am I forcing myself to go through this?
Yeah.
To sit through this for another 20 minutes where I'm not interested in it.
I get you. And for me, the first episode was great. Second episode kind of tanked for me. And I kind of feel the whole series was backpedaling from episode 2 to try to get back up to the momentum. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Austin, how do you feel? Do you feel that episode 1 was stronger than episode 2 or vice versa? Or
I do. There are definitely some low lows. I agree. You know what? This held my interest more than Jupiter's Legacy. I was more entertained. I was laughing. Jupiter's Legacy, I think, was a bit more dull because it's one you got to focus on. This is one that you could honestly, at least myself, obviously, but I put on the background and I go work in the kitchen and I just listen to it for the humor, right? Yeah. It's not really as story focused as Jupiter's Legacy. No, so not. I think I actually enjoy this one a little bit more. But yeah, there were definitely some episodes that are very, very forgettable. But a couple ones that toward the end, especially I think it got better towards the end. Yeah. Towards the end, it started building and getting a lot better.
I agree. Well, with all that said, guys, Marvel's M.O.D.O.K is now streaming on Hulu. It is Disney's attempt, and I do wanted to have just a quick moment where we discuss this. This is kind of an opening door to some things that are definitely coming down the pipeline for Hulu streaming series. We've said this in past shows. Hulu is going to be Disney Plus's adult-themed, I think, content provider. You're going to see the John Bernthals come back which has kind of already been confirmed to some extent. John Bernthal reprising the role as the Punisher, with him focusing more on the war journals, from what I recall that story. But you're going to see a lot of those adult-type things that necessarily can't make the cut on Disney Plus, make the cut on Hulu. So I think that's going to be really interesting. And I do believe this is Marvel's attempt to kind of get the feet wet. It's a show that probably doesn't have a lot of overhead cost. There's not a lot involved. There's not a lot of production that's required in terms of the stop motion photography and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it is a good way to just try to test the waters just to see how the market is on that streaming platform. Is it a way that we're going to be able to see more things coming down the line? I do believe so. You're not going to see Punisher on Disney Plus or Daredevil or any kind of more of a grittier style Marvel character. It's going to be on Hulu. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that, Austin? You agree with me on that one?
Well, I mean, there's even rumors that they could end up doing a Deadpool Ryan Reynolds series on. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
Right, I'm down for that. I'm definitely.
I am so down for that, and it is essentially that Disney After Dark spot for a lot of these. Yeah, it's almost the Adult Swim. Like it could be Disney's Adult Swim style thing where they just experiment with all of these R-rated mature content. I'm on board for that. I'm really on board for that. So I like what they're doing with these two platforms.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's give our score officially. I am going to go for Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. I'm going to go with 62%.
Okay.
And I think that was me riding the line a little bit.
I'm a little more enthusiastic about this show. Again, it's just kind of my style, but, it's not on a Rick and Morty level. I'm going to go 7, a solid 7.
Okay. All righty. Mike?
This is going to be difficult because I've only seen the 2 episodes.
Well, you don't have to score it. You don't have to score. I mean,
so I will give it 2 dashes and be done with it.
2 dashes. Nice. Hyphen.
Not a positive, it's not a negative. It's in the middle.
Waiting for someone to text back.
Yes. Let's just wait on that for a moment. I'll let that germinate. Let that marinate, if you will. Anyway, so we have a 62, and Austin, you gave it a 70%. All right, cool. All right, so that's the official score. Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. streaming now on Hulu, and I do believe that is going to wrap things up for this show. My gosh, what a crazy show.
Yeah.
I want to use this huge shout out, though, to all of our watchers out there and live streamers who hung in there with us.
Thank you.
It wasn't our end. It was Zoom had a global crash, and that is the platform that we use for the multi-window on here. As you can tell, everybody knows these familiar windows from Zoom. And I do apologize, but hey, we're going to leave this episode up because, hey, we did not hit the stop button. We kept it going in good faith and hoped it would come back, and guess what? It came back. We were ready to deliver, and we had a show. So at the end of the day, that makes me happy, and we had fun with it despite the hiccups. In life, everything you do, there's going to be hiccups. You're going to have those moments where things are going to crash on you and there's nowhere else to turn. It's how you respond in those moments that's going to define you as a person. Remember that, okay? So when the world comes crashing down and the crap hits the fan, it's your response that others are watching that's going to determine how you're going to be and your character. Don't lose your cool. Keep your head on straight and hope. There's always hope. So, hey, I just kind of felt like that was the more you know moment.
I loved it.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Austin, wrap things up for us, my man.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, thank you guys for sticking around. And, hey, if you're here and you've been here and you want to drop this vid a thumbs up, man, we're rolling, gaining subscribers like crazy, and it's all thanks to you guys. So I'm at the Burkinator. Just search and find me. We are part of the newly formed creative group known as the Creative Multiverse for more great media, content, artwork, and more. You guys can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Creative Multiverse. If you are a creative, produce content, or have a talent, we want to see it and would like for you guys to share it with us in the multiverse. Also, connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and more, all at PopXcast. Send us comments and suggestions to us via email at popxcast@gmail.com. And for future and past shows, visit our beautifully put together website by Joseph Burke, www.popxcast.com. Go check out all of the goodness and check out some of our former shows.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. And I want to say this before I officially sign off. We have some pretty cool content coming up. We've been asked to be in part. I don't know if Mike can chime in on this and give us any information, but we've been asked to do a virtual panel at a con that is going to be hosted by some friends. I don't want to give too many details away just yet, but if this all happens, we're going to be hosting a virtual con with some pretty cool people in July. Fingers crossed on that. And I also want to say we got approached by a synthwave artist who is among the top 20 synth artists on Spotify. And he's wanting to do a show with us on PopXcast to debut his brand new work that he's been working on over the past year. His name is Vic20, VIC-20. Check him out on Spotify. We're currently in process of arranging that interview. It's been a while since we've had somebody in the hot seat. Looking forward to that as well. I'm Joseph Burke Arts at Joseph Burke Arts all over social media and the web. Hats off to my amazing team PopX and Lindsay Badger. You were missed tonight. It would have been fun to have your shenanigans in here during the Zoom incident, as we shall call it. But we'll see you next time on episode 124 as we break down Loki coming to Disney Plus. What are you doing, Mike? Oh my God. That reminds me of that scene from Family Guy, you know which one I'm talking about? Oh, that's so funny. But we'll be talking Loki coming up on the next episode, and can you imagine what we're talking about on the Retro Rewind? The Karate Kid. Yeah, boy. And we just know that season 4 is currently in development as we speak. With Cobra Kai, everything changed over today to season 4 banners and profiles. Oh. It's in production. It's going. We're going to get it pretty soon. I think sooner than we think. So I think it's time that we visit Karate Kid and talk about it. Oh. Are you excited for that?
Oh, my heart.
June 13th,
So much
man.
love, Joe. So much love for this franchise, man.
I'm telling you, dude. Loki and the Karate Kid in one episode. June 13th can't come any quicker. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see this first episode of Loki. It is going to blow our minds. I think there's going to be things in here that none of us expected to see, and it's just going to rock our socks. But with all of that said, we want to thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for being a part of the PopX family. And you know what? We'll see you next time. Have a very safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. We love our veterans and all of our armed forces. Thank you for all you do and providing freedom for us, Lord. And I just thank you so much for everybody that's listened and downloaded. I'm about ready to have a preaching moment, but I'm going to shut up. But we'll see you next time right here on PopXcast.
From everyone at PopXcast, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that notification bell so you know when we go live next. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Throw us up a like on Instagram and all those other social media outlets. At PopX PopXcast. Until next time.